So budget lenses, most of the time they get a pretty bad rap, and most of the time for good reason. But I've discovered a budget lens here that I picked up back in 2017 off Amazon for about $165, and it is the Tamron 70-300 macro f4 to 5.6. So I got this lens back in 2017 as kind of an experiment. I primarily shoot landscapes, and at that time I was really wondering and questioning, do I really need 2.8 on landscapes? Now, I know there's a lot of you out there that probably would love to have that conversation with me, but I want to say yes and no, but no probably for the most part. A 2.8 lens works really well for weddings and portraits, where you really want your subject at the focus of the whole frame. And so I think that an f4 to 5.6/6.3 lens would be okay and adequate. One plus side to the f4 to 5.6/6.3 lenses are typically they're a lot lighter to carry. And so if you're out on a long hike, it's going to be nice to have a lighter lens. And the 2.8s typically are almost twice their weight, anywhere from 2 or 3 pounds compared to this is probably less than 1 pound. And so this gives me a pretty good reach too, 70-300 millimeters, and then between 180 and 300 is actually a macro mode, which works really well. Overall though, this lens is plastic, and so it doesn't have that durable feel that many 2.8 lenses have, which are typically in a metal casing. This is a telescoping lens, and so that means it protrudes out from the main body of the lens here. There are some lenses that have that built into it, so you don't actually get the telescoping, and the one downside to this lens that I don't like is it does not have a lock on it, and at times, believe it or not, walking has shaken this down a little bit, which does scare me a little bit because you don't want to accidentally break this off because it is a lot weaker than this part here. Another thing about this lens, because it is a budget lens, is that it does not have any vibration control. Now on the newer cameras like the Z series, the vibration control is actually built into the body, so that helps. But with older cameras like the D810 or the D600 here, those cameras don't have in-body vibration control, and so they heavily rely on VC in the lens, which this particular budget lens does not have. So I tend to always use this with a tripod or when I'm shooting at pretty high shutter speeds. Otherwise, this lens you will see some handshake at slower shutter speeds. Despite its shortcomings of a difficult hood and no locking to keep the lens from opening up, that's a downside to this lens. But at $165, you really can't go wrong. So let's pop it on a camera and take some pictures and see how they turn out. Here we go. Okay, so I want to show you some pictures that I took of this Tamron, the 7300 f4 to 5.6, and let's take a look. All right, this first one here was shot at 140 millimeters, and this actually was taken off of the Boulder/Hoover Dam parking structure. I think I was on the top floor, and I really just love how this picture, it's just so rigid, and it kind of reminds me almost like a painting. Another picture I took is from the Nelson ghost town of this was a really cool place to go if you ever get an opportunity to check it out. It's just extremely unique. But this here is just an old car pulling an old trailer, and then in the background you've got this plane tail that looks like it crashed. It's kind of hilarious, but this here is taken at 70 millimeters, and the sharpness here in the car and in the trailer here and the two chairs actually is pretty decent. It does kind of start to fall off the mountain a little bit and up in the sky, but other than that, it's a pretty decent picture for that lens. Also at the Nelson ghost town here, and this one was taken 155 millimeter. And you can just see how crisp it takes pictures. I mean, for a lens that only costs $165, it's pretty darn good. So this picture here, I took on the lens's macro mode, and basically you just need to telescope it out to about 180, and then you can flip it into macro mode, and then you go between 180 and 300, and it just basically enhances the pictures a little bit. This one here, I love this picture that I took right here just because of the bright, vibrant pink of the flower and then the contrast of the green behind it. It's a picture I like. It's not entirely sharp though. It's a little bit, it could have been focused a little bit more, but this was handheld, no tripod, and so I think it came out really well for those conditions. Another one also, same flower, but a little bit more still, a little bit more close up, and you can see it's a little bit sharper on the kind of insides of the flower here, but not as sharp as it probably could have been had I used a tripod. This also was handheld, but the bokeh that you even get behind this is just really nice. It's very soft, and so I think had I used a tripod on this, it would have came out a lot better. And then the last picture I have here, which was shot at 92 millimeters on my walk back from Griffith Park in Los Angeles / Hollywood, right by the Hollywood sign. And this was just one of those moments. I think I shot this actually through a chain link fence on the way down, and it just came out a really cool picture from this lens. It's got a little grain in it, which is why I turned it to black and white, but it feels so old school LA, and especially with the clouds and the sunbeams very softly coming through. It's just a moment that I wanted to capture. And so those are some pictures of the 70-300 here by Tamron. It's a budget lens. Again, I picked this up for $165. I think you can still get it right under the $200 mark at different places. So I hope you like that demo of the Tamron 70-300 f4 to 5.6, and please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.